بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. المرحلة الثانية قسم اللغة الإنجليزية مادة ELT الأستاذ محمد حسين البدري. Today we have how can teachers explore their own teaching through the observation of other teachers. We talked about this point in the previous lectures and videos, but in some details. So today we are going to talk about it in more detail. Okay. At first, the idea that we can explore our own teaching by observing other teachers may seem contradictory. However, as John Fanslow points out, we can see our own teaching in the teaching of others. You see here, we can see ourselves in others, to put it in this way. When we observe other teachers, okay, when we observe others and other teachers, it means when we go to their classes, to sit as like a student and observe the teacher, to gain knowledge of self, we have the chance to construct and reconstruct our own knowledge. Okay, of course, when we visit other teachers, when we go to their classes, we will have knowledge, information about what is inside the class. So this will make us what? Change our methods, our ways. We'll construct and build and rebuild our knowledge, our information. Okay, this is the idea. Fanslow articulates this in another way. He puts it in another way. In which way? We will see. This is a quotation mark quoted here. This paragraph is quoted. 3 lines are quoted. I came to your class. Okay, I came to your class not only with a magnifying glass to look carefully what was being done inside the class, he means here, but with a mirror, so that I could see that what you were doing is a reflection of much of what I do. So what other teachers do inside the class is the same that other teachers what do. So all of us as teachers, we do the same inside the class. While observing other teachers, when we observe teachers, when we go to their classes and we observe them, it is possible to collect what? Samples of teaching in a variety of ways. How to collect samples? Or another way, how to collect samples, how to observe teachers. Okay, to put it in this way, how to observe. I want to observe teacher. In which way? In this way, we can, for example, take fast notes, draw sketches, tally behaviors, count behaviors, note short transcript, like samples of interaction. Okay? As with collecting samples in our own class, it's possible to what? Audio or videotape other teachers. You see here? You can videotape other teachers' classes and photograph interaction. All these are the ways that you can do in order to what? To collect samples inside the class. These tapes can be used later to analyze. You remember we talked about this point, how to collect samples and how to analyze classroom behaviors. Yes. Here the writer الكاتب يقول I want to point out that I encourage observers and the observed teacher, يعني the one who visited the teacher and the teacher himself, to meet. For example, I go, for example, me as Mr. Muhammad, go where? To the class, or to Mr. Ali's class, Ali Shah's class, or Ahmed Mansour's class. Okay, I observe what is inside the class. Then, when Mr. Ahmed or Mr. Ali, for example, when he finishes the class, we meet. Okay, we meet with each other and talk about what's going on, what was going inside the class. You see? Okay, I put it in this way to make it clear for you. By doing so, when we talk, for example, me and Mr. Ali about the class, about, for example, the grammar, for example, I observe Mr. Ali or Mr. Ali observed me inside the class. We talk. By doing so, exploration is enhanced for all, is developed for all of us. You see here, this is the observation. We will have example. شلون هسه أنا حكيت هذا example. This is example, and we have another example. We have two examples. So I'm going to talk about one example, and the second example you have to read it, and if you have any comment you can comment, okay, and discuss if you want. The first example involves collaboration between my teaching partner and me. My partner, مثلا when I joined Solif, my partner showed consistent interest in error treatment and wanted to gain more awareness of how she treated students' error. إذن شنو الموضوع؟ How to treat with students' errors. That's, for example, students make grammatical errors. How to treat the students' error. شلون مثلا أني ويا مستر علي فبدي أشوف مستر علي how to treat with the errors. Okay. فرحت للصف كأنما I auto taped his class. Okay. And transcribe short, I wrote transcripts, short segments that centered on how, for example, Mr. Ali treated students' language errors. مثلا واحدة من transcripts. For example, لقيت كتب هو هذا الرايتر، أو مثلا أنا أكتب inside the class. واحد شفت أستاذ علي حكى ولا واحد من الطلاب قال I have only two sisters. أستاذ علي قال two sisters، عندك two plural sister لازم تخلي اس. I have no brother. قال له مثلا أستاذ علي قال له two sisters، عندنا كتبتي كأنما observer. I observe what is inside the class. قال له ساعد two sisters. You see here students رجع قال له because my mother she dead تعرفوها صفة وشي فاعل صفة ما يصير لازم تقول she was dead when I was 3 years old. أو مثلا واحد صحيح تخلي فعل she died. فكأنما ساعد قال she died when you were 3. هنا جاي يسوي ساعد جاي يصحح للطالب what he corrected. He was correcting the errors. He was treating the errors, the students' errors. طالب هنا سوى yes she did when I was 3 years. وهنا ايش يقصد الأستاذ؟ يقصد الأستاذ فهم الفكرة لكن كان ما يصحح له. رجع الطالب was the same did the same mistake. قال she did yes she did. okay. راح ينحلل هذا الخطاب هنا. we will analyze it here. My partner and I later met to talk. So, for example, me and Mr. Ali, we met and talk about this. Mr. Ali مثلا was delighted and little surprised. عرضت له الفيديو قلت له شوف انت شلون how to deal with the students' errors. She used rising intonation. مثلا قلت له ساعة علي انت جاي من تسأل متى شاف ساعة علي قل له two sisters rising intonation كلامه يعني صار هنا self observation. يعني مستر علي هنا he observes himself شاف نفسه انه he uses rising intonation. good. two sisters are rising intonation. or ask it what a question while emphasizing the word she was correcting أو كلمة اللي صححها فأكد عليها إيش قال she died when you were 3. she died when you were 3. she died when you were 3. You see here there is focus here on the word. فهذا صار self-observation. After appraising her treatment technique, she decided that students most likely didn't know that. Okay, هاي نقطة مهمة. The students didn't know she was even treating their errors. Okay, the students didn't notice that the teacher was correcting. The teacher was correcting their errors. They made some errors, and the teacher trying to correct their errors, but the students didn't notice this. They didn't know that the teacher was correcting his errors. Instead, they focus on meaning. The students focus on meaning, not on the mistakes. As a part of our discussion, we discussed ناقشنا. She always raised a concern over whether or not treating errors was useful. مثلا كان ناس قال مثلا كان useful ما تاني not useful. Why? Because students didn't notice my correction. So my way was useful or not useful. What shall I do? However, at the same time, students were what? Asking her to treat their language errors. بنفس الوقت دائما الطلاب يقولون أستاذ احنا صححنا correct our mistakes, and she wanted to comply. As such, she decided that if she did treat the errors, she could at least do so in a way in which students were aware of being corrected. Then هنا قال كأنما I have to find a way. I have to find a way that the students notice, that students know that I am correcting their errors. But what I am doing now is not good. The students do not notice my correction. So Mr. Ali مثلا decided to what? To use a way that make the students aware of the teacher's correction. And then she read about and discussed error treatment. إذا كان ما قرأنا read and discuss error treatment and subsequently designed and implemented alternative ways. إذا قرر مثلا صاد على كأنما what design and implemented alternative بديلة يعني alternative ways to treat errors, new ways to treat errors. You see here, so by videotaping what is inside the class by other teacher, it is also what important for the teacher himself, okay, the one who was what videotaped, because he will what he will notice his ways, his methods of teaching inside the class. Okay, so he at the end he will have what self-observation, which make him change his methods of teaching, his ways, or to use alternative ways. Okay, this is for the teacher himself. What about the observer? الobserver اللي راح وشاف. My partner obviously gained awareness, شوف حصل awareness from more clearly seeing her way of treating others, and through the process of observing and talking with my partner, I also had the chance. إذا هنا راح استفاد أني من رحت للصف. I had the chance to reflect on my own belief and technique for treating others. Okay. I was able to see my teaching in hers. يعني أنا شفت نفسي مستر علي كأنما مستر علي. نفس the ways that Mr. Ali is doing are what are mine, are the same. يعني they are like my ways. شوف, I realize that I often treat errors similarly, يعني similar in the same way that Mr. Ali what treating the errors with his students, and that most likely students were not especially aware that I was treating specific language errors. The same thing that even within my class students do not notice my errors. So both of us get benefit. The one who was under observation, okay, and the one who observes. By auto taping and analyzing my teaching, I was able to confirm this reflection and developed new ways. إذا سوى developed new ways to treat errors. نفس الشيء اثنيناتهم استفادوا بالأخير. هو alternative ways يعني نفس معناته new ways, alternative ways to treat errors. Okay, so both of us, me and Mr. Ali, when I observe Mr. Ali, then we talk to each other about what's going on inside the class. Both of them at the end we find new ways, new methods to treat the errors. Okay, the way that is applicable, the way that makes the students aware that we are correcting their mistakes, their errors. This is another example about Japanese teacher. You can read it and you can comment. Please, I want you to read and comment about this. Yes. How can teachers explore teaching through talk? How can teachers explore teaching through talk? This is very important. You know, I just mentioned this idea that when teachers are talking to each other. So it's very important when me, for example, I talk with Mr. Ali. By the way, I usually talk with teachers. I talk with Mr. Ali. Mr. Ali talks with me, Mr. Ahmed. We always talk with each other about teaching. For example, I'm following this way. I'm following this way. This is very important. But unfortunately, we don't visit each other. Talking about teaching can offer chances to learn about and reflect on our own teaching. Talking can indeed be useful. Unfortunately, شوف سوء الحظ يعني. Talking about teaching is not something that normally goes on among what EFL or ESL teachers. You see here? So usually teachers in general, not in Douania here or in a specific place or even in Iraq, in general, in all the cities. Teachers do not talk about teaching. Okay? Not, of course, there are some teachers who talk about teaching, but usually or normally, generally, they don't talk about. They don't talk with each other about methods of teaching and the ways of teaching, and this is something not good. They have to talk with each other. But if there is here, when it does, it means that when they talk, it seems to take on face-saving nature, as Paul Arcairo points out. The way conversations about teaching normally take place begins with the observer giving an opening evaluative remark. مثلا شو يقول مثلا I like your class. This is followed by a 3-step evaluative sequence. In the first step, for example, in the first step of the sequence, a positive or negative evaluation ممكن يصير مثلا بين teachers يكون negative or positive. مثلا positive يكون I think مثلا the students are talking a lot. مثلا نزلت أستاذ علي وشفت الطلاب يحجون هواي إنجليزي فقلت له مثلا your students are talking a lot. أو أنا التقيت بيه شفت الطلاب دائما يحجون إنجليزي فحكيت وياه قلت له your students are talking a lot. They are talking English a lot. This is something positive. أو ممكن أعطيه negative أقول له مثلا the students do not speak English. Your students do not speak English. They always speak Arabic. Okay, maybe the students do not have enough chances to speak. Negative. These comments lead to what? The second step راح يخلينا وين إما يودينا justification. You have to here give justification. مثلا راح يقول justification يعني معناته explanation of why the comment was made. مثلا قلت له your students are speaking English a lot. يقول yes, I give them chance to speak. I try to give them some يعني some motivation, etc. And then to have what? Third step, prescriptions about what should be done. Third step is what? Prescription about what should be done in the class to improve teaching. For example, you should do more group work. Okay, this is very important. For example, as I told Mr. I that your students do not speak English. Okay, Mr. I will give justification. Then you have to give what? Prescription. It's not a prescription. About this is a problem. How to prescribe it? How to deal with this problem? Okay. Cario points out that this last prescriptive step is more obvious when a negative evaluation is made because there is a problem, a perceived problem, like a problem that students do not speak English. So this problem should be solved. So I have to give prescription. We should give prescription in order to solve this problem. So this is the way that when the teachers talk to each other. This usual way of talking about teaching is not especially productive. يعني مو بالضرورة تكون productive. It is always not necessarily easy to change, but change can be made, especially if we take the time and effort to prepare for the discussion. Of course, we need time and effort for discussions and follow agreed. This is very important point here. This point that we have to follow to prepare for discussions and follow agreed upon rules that aim at non-judgmental and non-prescriptive discussion. Okay? راح يتكلم لنا the writer will talk about this point إنه شنو non-judgmental and non-prescriptive discussion. راح يسولف هنا خبرته. This was evidence from an experience in Japan when I had the pleasure of working with 12 experienced American, Canadian, and Japanese TEFL teachers, all of whom taught in different settings: Japanese public, and private schools, corporation and language schools. Sorry. We planned for and visited some of the teachers' classes. Okay, they visited each other's in small groups of 3 or 4. After observing, we talked about the class. How they observe each other. Okay, so they talk about the class, what happened inside the class, over lunch or coffee. Okay, we found both the observations and discussion to be highly stimulating and informative, and part of the reason was our planning. They talk about the methods and the ways and what happened inside the class. Okay, after visiting each other's. Before each observation, the teacher whose class we were to visit gave us an aspect of teaching on which she or he wanted us to focus and teach. For example, one teacher wanted us to focus on the times. يعني كل واحد طرائق. يعني every one of them or each one of them gives his own opinion. One said, for example, one teacher should focus on the time students speak their native language. Another on the amount of the time students stay on task. So they talk with each other. Each one gives his own opinion about teaching. Because they are ESL teachers. They have experience. We also established rules. خلوا rules بيناتهم about how to talk about the teaching. How to talk about the teaching we observed. Okay. We came to an agreement to stop ourselves from making positive and negative judgment. اللي هي النقطة اللي بالبداية حكينا عنها إنه not judgmental. No judgments. إنه خلوا rules. We came to agreement to stop ourselves. يعني ماك واحد يقول لي أنت طريقتك كذا طريقتك كذا طريقتك كذا. وصلوا هاي rules إنه from making positive or negative judgments about our own and others' teaching. We made this agreement. Why? Because judgments take attention away from description of and toward feelings about what's going on. Okay? So they leave judgments, positive or negative. Then سووا هما. We also agreed not to seek prescriptions about teaching. يعني شنو? In other words, what we should do in the classroom. لا تخلي prescriptions. Rather, إذا خلوا حلول. Then not a prescription, no judgments. So they decide what? We worked at creating, making alternatives, بدائل, ways, methods, based on descriptions of teaching. You see here, this is the point. This is the point by not judgments or not non-prescription. So they worked at generating alternatives, okay, ways, new methods based on descriptions of teaching. We looked for possibilities to try out not best ways to teach. The teachers and I found these 2 steps of rules to be very powerful. Okay, these are the rules. The 2 rules. We gained lots of description of teaching. We're able to generate alternative. You see, this is the summary. هذا الخلاصة يعني just زبدة. We gained lots of description of teaching. We're able to create alternative technique, new methods, new ways for the classroom, and by the end of our experience together became far less judgmental in our attitudes toward teaching. You see here, as we did in Japan, جاي قلنا لنا الكاتب, I encourage you, يعني وجه الخطاب إنه to talk to other teachers about teaching, to do this. شو تسوون هذا الشيء. راح يلخص لنا كل هاي الأفكار. I invite you to plan observation visits me to talk about your observation in non-prescriptive, non-judgmental terms and generate alternative approaches to teaching. هذا كل الزبدة هسه حكينا لأني 3 أسطر. Okay. However, I also encourage you to talk about issues in teaching, media and material, technology, mutual problems such as with students' motivation, unreasonable administrative demands, and working conditions. We finish this chapter. If you have any question or any comment, you can add. Okay. Thank you for some of the students. I have asked you question, and as an assignment, 4 or 3 students answered me. Okay, I will comment on their answers next time, inshallah. See you again. Thank you so much. See you soon.